Hello, everybody. I am Terry Lee with the Protecht Group. I am joined today by Kelly Ngai, our head of product marketing. We are going to cover the topic of AI and governance, risk, and compliance. We're going to introduce you to a new Protecht solution called Cognita, your AI-powered GRC assistant. We're going to talk through the product and why it was designed and built the way that it was. So I'm Terry Lee. I run Protecht's North American operation. That is my LinkedIn profile there. Feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I am joined today by the incredible Kelly Ngai, head of product marketing. Kelly, say hello.
Hi, everyone. Very excited to join Terry today to show you our new AI features.
Excellent. Thanks very much. Kelly heads up our product marketing organization for Protecht. She has forgotten more about GRC use cases than most people will ever know. So I'm really honored to have her with us today. That's her LinkedIn profile there as well. Feel free to connect with Kelly. So before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about Protecht. Protecht is an ERM software and advisory company that has operations around the world, LA, Sydney, and London, covering EMEA. We've got over 200,000 users, over 500 clients worldwide. We've been in the business for a very long time. The company was founded over 25 years ago by two gentlemen, David Tatum, David Bergmark, who were experts in risk management and decided that there was a better way to redefine the way the world sees risk management. We work with a lot of clients in banking, credit unions, financial services, manufacturing, transportation, logistics. The list goes on in just about every major vertical market you can imagine. The thing, however, that we are really, really proud of on this slide is the customer retention rate. Our customer retention rate is actually just over 98%. The customers simply don't outgrow us. When there is a transition, it's usually due to acquisition or some other unforeseen event. But the customers stay with us a very long time because the product continues to grow and evolve and meet their needs. We have some software customers that have actually been with us for over 20 years. So, Kelly, let's get started. First, some housekeeping points. We'll run about 60 minutes. We'll talk about AI and how it is impacting governance, risk, and compliance programs around the world. We have a number of conclusions. If you have questions, please enter your questions in the webinar control panel, and we'll be actually posting responses on our website. Afterwards, if you've registered for this webinar, you will get an email that the recording is available to you, as well as slides. As I mentioned earlier about LinkedIn, if you have direct questions about what we do, feel free to reach out to me or Kelly directly at any time. So we're going to cover three key topics today. We're going to talk about leveraging AI in GRC to change an organization's risk culture. We believe strongly that changing a risk culture using AI is the most impactful way that AI can be applied to GRC, and we'll explain to you how in just a moment. The second topic that we're going to cover is about how we see AI supercharging your GRC program, how it has the capability to inform users and make them risk experts. And then lastly, we're going to give you an introduction to Cognita and show you how our AI assistant Cognita works and why it is useful to your first, second, and third line users. Let's go ahead and get started. First, we're going to talk about leveraging AI to elevate your risk culture. You see off to the right-hand side of the slides, that window that says, "Hi, how can I help today?" and has a list of topics. That is actually Cognita. That's what the user interface looks like within the Protecht ERM software solution. Let's talk about risk culture from the standpoint of what people do in your organization when you're looking, and in particular, when you're not looking. So ISO 31000 defines risk as the uncertainty of objectives. And when risk happens, risk is always in motion. It may hit you, it may not hit you, but when it does, you want to be prepared. You want to be able to mitigate its impacts. You want to be able to respond and recover. Ideally, you want to find a way to seek reward from risk. However, your effectiveness in your risk management program often comes down to the risk culture in your organization. Are your first line users engaged? They're the ones that are facing risk every single day. It's not the people in the second line. They're reporting reporting it, tracking it, responding to it. It's the first line. So we use this analogy to children and their bicycle helmets. So in this topic of risk culture, how does that relate? Is that when you think about children and teaching them how to ride a bike and teaching them to wear a helmet, the key is, can you influence them enough to wear a helmet every single time that they get on that bike to be safe? And in particular, will they put that helmet on when you're not standing next to the bike with them? Basically, will they do it when nobody is looking? And that's, we believe, a metric of a good risk culture. Now, not that everybody in your organization is wearing bicycle helmets. That would be really peculiar. However, if your risk managers, the people in your organization who own risk in the first line, not the second line, if they are following good risk practices and risk principles when you, the second line, are not watching, then you've got a pretty good risk culture. We felt strongly that bringing AI to GRC meant impacting the risk culture, elevating the organization, and getting people engaged in the risk program who were not in the second or third line, and that would have the most positive impact on an organization. Now, of course, that comes back to risk ownership. Who owns and manages risk in your organization? When you ask this question to people across your organization, Kelly has probably spoken to more second line and first line people than the rest of us have. You get a lot of different answers. Typically, you'll get not me, or they'll say audit owns risk, or legal owns risk, or compliance owns risk, or risk management owns risk, or anyone with risk in their title owns and manages risk. And all of those are correct because you own risk management. Everybody in an organization owns risk. So if there are 25, 30 people in your second line team, risk managers, compliance managers, vendor risk managers, analysts who work with those organizations, and there are 5,000 employees, you have 5,025 risk managers, not just 25, because everybody in an organization needs to own risk, especially those first line employees, because they are the ones who are facing risk. Now, I've made reference a couple of times to first line and second line. Let's take a step back and make sure that everybody understands what I'm talking about. We're talking about the typical 3 lines model. You may agree with it, you may not disagree with it, totally up to you. We're going to use it for sake of argument and agree that it's an effective way to structure an organization's response to risk management. 3 lines model. The first line are the employees in the organization. They own risks and they own controls. Now, in some organizations, they're not, how do I say it? They're not there yet. Maybe they have risk owners, but perhaps they haven't given control ownership to individuals in the first line. That's okay. It's a maturing process, and you have to do it when you feel comfortable doing it. But those first line employees, they are that first line of defense against risk impacting the organization. In that second line, this analogy of an umbrella, some of the rain gets through, and that second line, that's the risk management team, the risk managers, the vendor risk managers, the compliance professionals. They're responsible to provide the review and the challenging of risk practices and principles, to conduct reviews of risk assessments performed by people in the first line, because that's where the risk is supposed to be assessed. And that those people make up the second line for the organization. Typically, it's a percentage of the overall number of employees. The size can be great, it can be small, depending on the type of business and what is impacting the business. Lastly, we have the third line, which is essentially internal audit, or your assurance organization. Their job is to look backwards at what has happened and see, did the second line do a good job of preventing incidents, managing risk in some way, shape, or form. They examine what happened in processes, in departments, to make those determinations. And if all of those lines fail, then there's a potential to impact the company's objectives. That's what that last part means about the failure of objectives. We believe that by adding smart AI capabilities to a solution for enterprise risk management, you can really supercharge this model. That's what Cognita is designed to do. That by adding AI to your governance, risk, and compliance program, You can really elevate it and take advantage of data and relationships and learning that you may not be able to see. So what does Cognita do for you? Well, essentially it empowers everyone, and it empowers people in 4 particular ways. First of all, it provides this uplift of knowledge and skill to all of the users within the organization, all of the people participating in the risk compliance programs. One of the biggest challenges of engaging first-line people in an organization is that they don't interact with a system or a risk or compliance team, but infrequently. They only interact with them 2 or 3 times a year. And you can't train them on a solution that's used for enterprise risk management or compliance management 4 or 5 times a year over and over again. It has to be super easy, super simple to use. That's what Protecht ERM does. But adding AI to it gives us the ability to educate and guide them and train them in any task within a risk and compliance program, because the AI has that intelligence to know processes and procedures of good risk management and help them complete tasks. The second point is about making risk management real and relatable. It's about their processes and the work that they do every day. So they need to be able to have a resource they can lean on and ask questions that are relevant to them, or something as simple as filling out an incident form. To be able to understand, well, what does it mean when you're asking me what business process did the incident occur in? That's where AI can really help as well. The third point is minimizing process and time costs by baking in this AI coach to the entire risk and compliance program. You can provide that kind of a resource or assistance to people when they need it without having to pick up the phone or send a message through the company's chat system and ask for help from somebody in the second line. And then lastly, it's about making the tools accessible and relevant to the people in the organization. People in the first line of the organization, who should be your risk owners, they have another job to do, the job they were hired to do, which is not risk management per se, and they need the guidance and the tools to make it easy and relevant to their part of the business. Now, we summarize all of this in Cognita through a number of key capabilities. Cognita is a line 1 AI coach. We'll show you how that works in a minute. It's not just based on the world of risk management best practices. It's based on 26 plus years of research and publications and thinking about risk management, which is what Protecht has been doing. We've published books on risk management topics as well as blogs and white papers, and we speak on this topic with clients pretty much every day of the week. It's about making it accessible and available, relevant and tailored. Cognita really is relatable and understandable. It's natural language communication, and Kelly will show you how that works in a second. And therefore, it's very efficient in its time because it's right there in the Protecht ERM system at the user's fingertips. What we're looking for are 6 key behaviors that can really be enhanced by AI. The first behavior is that in a risk management program, you want people to speak up. You want them to talk about the good as well as the bad and to do so equally. And AI can really enhance that communication because it doesn't have an emotional attachment to the news that's being shared or the outcome of analysis. The second key behavior is basically trust but verify. I trust you, but I'm going to check anyway. This is just good risk management. You verify, you validate. This is a cornerstone of what a risk and compliance team in the second line does. And with AI, it can do that type of work for you, but there should still be a human in the loop. You don't want AI making decisions for you. You want it providing guidance and insight that you may not have on your own. The third behavior is to challenge and be able to be challenged. We challenge each other in the workplace, and AI but can challenge you and should be challenged in its outcomes. If you've ever used an AI tool like ChatGPT or Copilot from Microsoft, sometimes you'll ask it a question and get an answer, and you look at the answer and think, that's weird. That's because it's coming to conclusions that sometimes aren't accurate. So you want to make sure you're challenging the results and have a way to verify. The fourth one is about being risk aware and having this chronic state of unease. Now, this is a behavior that some risk managers really embrace because it drives them to be better and to ask questions, and in particular, to always be looking out for the organization. AI can do that by being highly tuned into what's happening in the systems of risk and compliance reporting and incidents and issues, and be able to make relationships and see patterns that you may not be able to see on your own. The fifth item is considering risk and reward in every decision. We set out over 26 years ago to redefine the way the world thinks about risk. We believe that risk is a good thing. It's not always a bad thing. As many people in an organization hear risk and think of negative consequences, and that is a one side of the coin approach. We believe that there's reward in risk, and the better analysis tools you have at your fingertips, the better you can see rewards associated with risk, which could lead to better allocation of companies' resources, people's time, and allow you to actually find advantages in risks themselves. And AI can really help you with that. And then, of course, the last one is about being authentic, real, and engaging. The number one barrier to people using AI in the workplace in particular, but especially in risk and compliance programs, is trust. Pure and simple. They don't trust the outcomes of an AI tool systems. So the AI needs to be authentic, needs to be conversational. It needs to communicate on the level and with the same type of tools that the end user of your risk compliance programs are using. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like in a moment. And that moment is here. I'm going to turn it over to Kelly. Kelly's going to talk about using AI to really scale and build that risk culture with Cognita. Kelly.
Thank you, Terry. For those I haven't met before, I'm Kelly Ngai, Head of Product Marketing at Protecht. And a big part of my role is bringing customer and market feedback into Protecht strategy. I'm lucky enough to interview current customers and prospective customers, and it's no surprise that we're hearing a lot about AI in the market at the moment. So I'm really delighted to join Terry today to introduce our new AI capability, Cognita. In talking about AI, we're often talking about the amazing opportunities it can bring, how it can make software easier to use, uncover insights, and help customers be more efficient and effective. But as Terry spoke about before, Protecht has been a risk company for over 25 years, and we know that risk management is about people. Risk teams don't just administer risk registers or reporting. Their real impact is embedding risk thinking and capability across the organisation. And that's why we believe AI should do more than automate tasks or speed things up. We really believe it should strengthen risk culture and risk capability, so that organisations are not only more efficient, but more knowledgeable, resilient, and confident in managing risk. Our goal in developing our first wave of AI capability is to expand participation. We want organisations to have greater visibility and therefore greater understanding and ability to act. I speak with many risk and compliance leaders about what they want from a GRC system, and it's a pretty common theme that customers want to make it as easy as possible for their end users to interact with the system and lift risk culture, lift engagement. With AI, we want to free up line 2 to coach and challenge the rest of the organisation. And by that, I mean spending less time chasing risk assessments and chasing down KRIs and control tests, and spending more time partnering with risk and control owners on achieving strategic outcomes. We do this in 4 ways. Firstly, we remove friction from the user experience. If the experience isn't frictionless, your staff won't engage with the process and the quality of your data will fall because, of course, you may be missing records or you may have incomplete records. Secondly, we keep people in charge. Generative AI is non-deterministic, which means that the outputs won't always be exactly the same. So it's really important that humans are kept in the loop, even though AI is helping with some of the heavy lifting. That's why our approach is for AI to be your assistant while you remain in charge. Thirdly, we pair AI with the right context and expert risk content. Protecht has over 25 years of thought leadership and training expertise for risk. Some of you may already subscribe to Protecht Academy, which offers comprehensive on-demand risk training for frontline and for boards, as well as certification training for risk managers. And I'm sure many of you have read Protecht's thought leadership ebooks and articles as well. We make sure that that's available to support decision-making and understanding at the time that it's needed. And fourthly, we connect the dots across the system. AI should be used to help uncover patterns and root causes. It's really good at that. And that means that actions can be figured out in context, not in isolation. Cognita helps identify related records to help build up that context. So these 4 principles mean higher quality data, greater visibility and insight, and a more resilient organisation at the end of it. So to go into all of these in a little bit more detail, I'll use the example of incidents, which is a very pervasive use case. It's a really common concern that we've heard from customers that not all incidents are being captured, and this may mean that you're possibly not spotting ineffective controls or emerging risks. So here you can see our guided entry form for incidents, which is designed to remove friction. Your staff member may only be an occasional user, but rather than being presented with a long, intimidating form with lots and lots of fields, it's one simple screen. The form asks for a short description of what happens, encouraging the user to describe it in their own words. And if the user clicks on that suggestion drop down, the form also provides suggestions on what sort of information to include in the report, such as location, people involved, what the harm was, and that guides the user towards creating a better quality incident record. To help users along, they're not restricted to a written description. They can also upload a photo or a file to log the incident. And this form is deliberately designed to look easy and only take a few minutes to complete, because a quick, easy form will expand end user participation, and that will result in more incidents being reported. To drive the right insights, records need certain fields of data to be consistently available. So the next step for Cognita is to convert the simple description or photo into a structured incident record. This screen lets the user know that the work is being done for them, and now we'll see that structured record. With Cognita's assistance, that quick, easy entry that was created by the end user is translated into the structured record required by the incident reviewer or manager. Cognita will suggest relevant impacted risks or controls that are already set up in your system. Those suggestions are contextual to your risk library, your control library, your data. In this example, it didn't auto-populate the incident category field, so that field is empty, but it has a suggest button. And by clicking suggest, it will prompt the AI to look at your other records, as well as analyse what's been input into this record to come up with relevant suggestions for the category. Those suggestions would appear in the chat box, and they can be accepted or not. Now, Protecht has over 500 customers, as Terry touched on at the top of the webinar, and we know that customers have their incident forms set up in slightly different ways, but Cognita is adaptable enough to work with those slightly different incident forms. It's not restricted to using the Protecht Marketplace templated incident register. The second principle of our design that I mentioned is making sure that AI is the assistant while people are the decision makers, what you may hear described as human in the loop. And you can see here that every AI assisted field is clearly labelled as drafted by AI. So users can still see their input in the chat box on the right. They can verify that the fields drafted by AI look right, and if needed, they can correct those fields. Protecht customers will know that we track historical changes to records, and the same holds true for Cognita assisted records as well. We track changes so you know what the user typed, what AI auto-completed, and whether the suggestion was accepted and edited. We know that AI tools need to earn trust, especially in the risk and compliance context. And it's not the same as asking for a brownie recipe from ChatGPT. So that transparency is really important for the end user and the incident manager, because automation can be risky without a full audit trail and traceability. Now, perhaps your user is new to risk or not confident about what counts as an incident or how to rate its severity. So we designed Cognita to provide on-demand expert guidance in that user's flow of work. In this example, the user needs guidance on reviewing remedial actions for incident responses to ensure due diligence by staff. I like to describe this guidance as adhering to the Goldilocks principle. It's not too little, not too much, but just right. Cognita provides answers that are not simple and generic, but they're not too overwhelming either. So the user gets guidance that is context aware, it's relevant, and it's right size so that they can finish that job. If they want more, one tap on that blue incident management link takes them to the exact chapter of our Protecht Academy training materials. It's not based on generic information on the web, it's based on content drafted by risk experts. Risk managers tell us how they're called on to educate the rest of the business about risk, which of course takes time. So we see Cognita as your extended bench of risk coaches. It helps end users, line one, get the support they need in their flow at the time they need it. And that could be a time when line two is not available. And it also frees up line two to focus on more of that strategic work. Our goal is for your teams to have better risk understanding than when they began. So we don't want them to over-rely on opaque AI, which may lead to complacency or brain rot. Cognita is designed to keep users engaged and help them be smarter about risk. The next step in the flow is review and investigation of the incident. And in that process, Cognita helps connect the dots. During review, it can identify potentially similar or related incidents. Cognita can compare this new record to other incidents already logged and quickly identify patterns. So at the bottom of this screen, you can see this record has been linked to 4 other incident records with Cognita's help. This means that you can spot possible duplicates that could clog up your incident database and slow down resolution or waste resources because you're responding to the same thing twice. But it may also find possible clusters of incidents involving the same processes or controls or risks. By helping you identify clusters of related incidents, the corrective actions that you put in place are not for one isolated incident, but are better targeted to addressing systemic problems. With these sorts of insights, customers can triage faster, make better decisions, and identify actions that prevent incidents from recurring. By expanding participation, improving visibility, and freeing you up to coach and challenge, you get better data to drive better insights. Now, many of you will already know through Protecht's marketplace, we offer a really comprehensive set of off-the-shelf dashboards and reports, which update in real time from the data captured in the system. And it's great that we can save time for risk and compliance leaders that they used to spend on administering reports, but we also need to help you lead the discussion on those analytic insights with stakeholders, exec management, and the board. Here I'm showing Cognita's generated insights for the incident and breach dashboard. The summary on the left calls out trends and highlights from the dashboard so that you know what to focus your stakeholders' attention on. And it means that rather than spending time figuring out what happened, you can get straight into the so what. So what needs to change? What do we need to do? It's all about delivering insights that you can act on. Before I sum up and hand back to Terry, I wanted to walk through some of the most common questions we're being asked about Cognita. Firstly, how is Cognita different? To sum up, Cognita is purpose-built AI, explicitly designed for governance, risk and compliance. It's different to general purpose AI models out there because it delivers answers based on Protecht's trusted risk management thought leadership content. So your users get insight aligned to real-world compliance and risk practices. Also, Cognita is designed to work with the way our customers have set up their ERM. So that includes their role permissions, their customized ERM menu structures, and customized registers. Next is Cognita opt-in or mandatory. Customers will have the choice to opt in to Cognita, and you'll also be able to select which, for example, incident registers are supported by the tool. Are we using the data to train third-party models? The answer is no. Protecht ensures that your data is not shared to train AI third-party models. What happens to your data? As is the case for data in Protecht ERM generally, the data is encrypted at rest and in transit. Data sovereignty is observed, so your data will stay in your chosen AWS region. And as I mentioned before, customer data is not used to train models, and nor is it used to test models. Can I trust the insights and suggestions from Cognita? Yes, you can. Cognita is designed with guardrails that ensure its outputs are explainable, verifiable, and sourced from trusted content. It's not just looking up Wikipedia and random marketing content, it's accessing Protecht's expert training content and our thought leadership content, as well as our help documentation. It also aligns with your organization's context. So to refer back to the incident example, it suggests risks, controls, processes, and related incidents that are already in your system. And lastly, what AI system standards are we aligning with? In designing Cognita, Protecht has factored in the principles of ISO 42001, NIST RMF 1.0, the VAISS and the EU AI Act. Governance of AI risk is a key principle of those standards, and Protecht has an AI governance package available through Marketplace. That helps you centralise your risk assessment and data capture for any AI system you use, develop or integrate with, so that you can demonstrate due diligence throughout the life cycle of an AI system. And that includes Protecht ERM with Cognita. So to sum up, we're using AI to reduce friction and get your users engaged. We're keeping humans in charge, showing context and sources to help them verify as they go along. We're providing right-sized learning at the time that it's needed, so staff are smarter about risk than when they began. And we're connecting the dots between incidents, risk, controls, and other records to surface patterns and root causes. We know that AI done correctly can help transform risk management, risk culture, and risk capability so that your teams are more consistent, they're more resilient, and more confident as risk managers. And ultimately, that means greater strategic outcomes for your whole organisation. These use cases are just the first wave that Protecht is releasing, with a lot more to follow. So please make sure to sign up to our newsletters so that we can keep you updated on future waves of AI use cases we'll be releasing in the months to come. Terry, back to you for some closing thoughts.
Thanks, Kelly. That was amazing. It's been a journey as well, but being able to see Cognita in action, it's really amazing. I love what you guys have done with the product. So let me summarize what we've covered over the last few minutes. Our goal in introducing Cognita was to really supercharge your risk management program with AI, to do so responsibly, to do so in a way that can elevate your risk culture and really engage your first line team members who are supposed to be really managing risks and controls, and of course to do it with a trusted partner 26 plus years. Protecht has really been inspired by risk. Now it's Cognita is allowing Protecht ERM to be powered by AI. We'd love to show it to you. So for next steps, first, visit our website. We have lots of blog posts and white papers and material on using AI on topics that are really pressing, such as AI governance. You can reach out to us through the website to book a demo right now, and we can show you in real time what Cognita looks like. And of course, you can learn more about Protecht ERM and the other use cases that we cover beyond ERM, including compliance, policy, vendor risk, PCM, cyber risk. It's a very long list. Hit the QR code on the screen if you wish. It'll take you to the Protecht website at the Cognita page. Kelly, it's always great seeing you and working with you. I really look forward to getting together again soon.
You too, Terry. Thank you. Thanks everyone for joining.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.